Kanthapura, chapter 16. Then the people in Rampur picketed the Rampur tollgate toddy booth, and the people of Sidhpur the Sidhpur tea estate toddy booth, and the people of Madur the Madur fair toddy shop, and men and women and children would go to the toddy booths and call to the drinkers, brothers and sisters and friends, do not drink in the name of the Mahatma. The Mahatma is a man of God. In his name do not drink, and bring sin upon yourself and upon your community. And songs were made by the people. The toddy tree is a crook tree, and the toddy milk is a scorpion milk. And who is it that uses the scorpion milk, sister? And who uses the scorpion milk, sister? Why, the wandering witches of the marshes. Say, sister, say, the wandering witches of the marshes. And the witch has a turban and a lathi stick. O king, why won't you come? People sang it on the river path and behind the temple, and washing the thresholds and rinsing the vessels and plastering the walls with dung cakes did they sing. And women sang this to their men, and sons sang this to their fathers. When somebody said in Bombay and Lahore, did people gather at dawn to go singing through the streets? Women in Rampur said, we too shall do it, and they too rose up at dawn and gathered at the temple, and they too went singing through the twilight streets and stood before house after house and sang. Our king, he was born on a wattle mat. He is not the king of the velvet bed. He is small and he is round and he is bright and he is sacred. O Mahatma, Mahatma, you are our king and we are your slaves. White is the froth of the toddy, toddy. And the Mahatma will turn poison into nectar clear. White will become blue and black will become white. Brothers, sisters, friends and all, the toddy tree is a crook tree, and the toddy milk is scorpion milk. O king, when will you come? And some who were intelligent like the city boys would say, O brothers, in the name of the Mahatma, do not drink, for drinking is bad, and the government profits by your vice, and the usurer profits by your debt, and your wife goes unclothed, and your children unfed, and never again will you see a hut and hearth. Some would come to fetch a pariah or a porter from Kanthapura to help them in their fight, and Murthy would say, go with them, and when they came back they told us this about their wounded and that about their women. And when Porter Ramaiya came back from Santur, he said that in house after house they had a picture of Murthy. In house after house a picture of our Murthy taken from city papers. They would say, you are a happy people to have a man like that. And we were so proud that we said we would bear the lathi blows and the prisons, and we would follow our great Murthy. And day after day we said, what next Murthy? And day after day he would say, today fast, for Vasudev is going on hunger strike. Or today you will offer a feast for the liberation of Porter Chandraya. And when the feast was ready, we went trumpet and horn before us to receive Chandraya, and he told us of the knuckle beatings and back canings. Bend down and hold your toes, they were told. And when they bent down, a red man would come with canes kept in oil, and bang, bang, he would beat them on their buttocks and on their knees and on their thighs. And then a red man would say, salute, and they would say, salute what? And he would say, the government flag. And someone would cry out, Vande Mataram, and everyone would take it up and shout out, Mataram Vande, and there would be showers of lathi blows. And he told us too of the city boy who, while the lathi blows fell, rushed across the courtyard, clambered up the drain pipe and the guava tree and the roof, and hoisted high the national flag. And he was dragged down and kicked and caned and given a solitary cell. And he could not speak a word, and they gave him only this water as lentil soup, and that washed paddy as rice. And he would shout and take it away, and the jailer would bang the door behind him. He spoke of the hammer and sickle country, and always of the hammer and sickle country. And so we called him the hammer and sickle boy. But they gave him a pair of fetters again and a solitary cell, and we never saw him again. But it was Sitaramu who came out of prison and told us the most terrible story. He said he had the great fever 3 days after he had been in prison, and they ordered him to get out as usual and grind the oil seed, and beat him with their canes. And we all day after day we went out to picket this toddy shop and that, and Borena said, "Now I am not going to keep a shop where there is no sale." And he closed it, and Stanna closed his shop and said, "I am not going to bear in this life and in all lives to come the sin of women being beaten." And Madaya said, "Why, I am but a servant of the toddy contractor, and why should I see the police beat our women and men?" The blue paper said there were 24 shops closed in Kanthapura Hobli, and we said, "That is a great thing." Murthy said, "Why, the June assessments are going to begin and there will be much trouble." And we turned to Kenchamma and said, "Oh, you protector of water and field, protect this." But day after day revenue notices fell yellow into our hands, and we said, "Let them do what they will, we shall not pay our revenues." And the new Patel came, and behind the Patel came the policeman, and behind the policeman the landlord's agent, and we said, "Do what you will, we shall not pay." And the policemen would shake their fists at us and say, take care, things are not as before. You pay or the government will squeeze water out of stone. You will have to pay." And we would stand beside the threshold and say, "We shall see," and then we would rush through the backyard to see Rangamma or Murthy, and they would say, "Don't worry, sister, don't worry." They sang, "There is one government, sister, there is one government, sister, and that's the government of the Mahatma. It's only 7 families that paid the revenue dues." And Murthy said, "That is great, we shall win the battle, and we shall defeat the government." And day after day we woke up and said, "Today they'll come to attach our property. Today they'll take away our vessels and our sacks." And we dug the earth and hid our jewels, and we dragged down the vessels and threw them into the wells. And we thrust our rice sacks, jaggery sacks, lentil sacks behind the bath fuel, and we said, "Well, let them find it, we shall see." But no policeman ever came again to our houses, though one heavy morning all the roads and lanes and paths and cattle tracks were barricaded. Stones upon stones were piled on the road, and tree upon tree was slain and laid beside them. Policemen stood behind them, bayonets and bugles in their hands, and that afternoon there was a beating of drums, and we slipped behind our doors and heard that if the revenues were not paid and the laws obeyed, every man, woman and child above 6 in Kanthapur would pay 1 rupee and 3 pice, 1 rupee and 3 pice as punitive tax. And when the night fell, Murthy said, "The fight has really begun, and if the Patel or the policeman or agent should enter the house, take the sanctum bell and ring, and we shall know they are there." And Rangamma and Ratan and Murthy went from house to house to speak of the sanctum bell that should ring, and we kept our lights, and we thrust logs against the doors, and we kept our eyes open all through that empty night. We said, "Krishna, Krishna," and with dawn came sleep. Thank you.